And then I had people writing me saying, "You're going to cost us a national championship."
That publicity can work to the advantage of attorney Tim Jansen, who represented Winston.
All I can say is he did nothing that was improper. That's nothing that was unconsensual.
How many athletes do you think have your phone number programmed into their cell phones?
How many athletes?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I hope all of them.
At Florida State, about 18% of football and men's basketball players on rosters from 2009 to 2014 were involved in crimes. About 70% of those incidents had no charges, were dismissed, or not prosecuted. Compare that to about 50% of cases from a sample of crimes in Tallahassee involving college-age males who were not FSU athletes.
How much of a difference does it make for a defendant to have someone like you early on?
90% better chance of getting a better outcome.
Do you do any of that work pro bono?
No. All the athletes, we sit down, I give them the same kind of fee program I have anybody else. I've never represented anybody for free. University has never paid me anything to represent any of these individuals. And quite rare, I know people believe this, but no booster has ever given me a dime or at all to represent these players.
But that's not to say the university doesn't help Jansen. He says he's friends with Monk Bonasort, Associate Athletic Director at Florida State.
So does he call you when a player gets in trouble?
He will, sometimes he does call, sometimes he'll call and say a parent's going to call. Then my phone rings or somehow that magically does happen. And how it's done, I don't know. It's like making sausage.
Last fall, Jansen said head basketball coach Leonard Hamilton invited him to talk to the players, something State Attorney Willie Meggs says he's never been asked to do.
Not once.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Probably have to ask them.
Meggs says he's noticed a shift since Jimbo Fisher took over for Bobby Bowden in 2010.
We never had any interference with any kind of investigation from the athletic department under the Bobby Bowden era.
Has that changed?
Somewhat.
How so?
Kind of the police had to be kind of escorted onto campus and make appointments to interview students and athletes and things of that nature, and somebody is running interference for them.
During several criminal investigations, including this one of a BB gun battle this past summer, Tallahassee police allowed coaches and officials to determine when and where investigators could talk to athletes.
You don't let anybody dictate to you when and where and how you're going to do a criminal interview. Nobody. It could be the coach or the president of the university. It would not matter. Anybody that does that is a poor law enforcement officer.
But that's exactly what Outside the Lines found in at least 9 examples over 5 years in Tallahassee, all but 2 involving city police. Once, Hamilton insisted that police interview a player in his office while the coach was there. In one campus police example, Associate AD Monk Bonasort took possession of evidence in a possible hit and run, which Florida State Police Chief David Perry said was not standard practice, adding, "I am not in support of anyone else trying to intervene in an investigation."
I think the athletic department and the university ought to be our number one helpers in trying to figure out what really happened. What they do at Florida State is call a defense lawyer in.
Do you believe that law enforcement and prosecutors take it easy on athletes?
No. I've got to work twice as hard because not only got to prove they can't prove their case, I got to prove they shouldn't be charged.
Which brings us back to former Florida player Chris Rainey, whose most notable incident with police in Gainesville, an alleged assault in 2013 when he was a Steeler, ended without charges but with repercussions.
Gainesville, Florida police say Rainey had a relationship with his female victim. The two got into an argument over Rainey's cell phone. Police say he actually pulled the woman out of a car, and witnesses say he slapped her with an open hand.
One witness we spoke with told us attorney Huntley Johnson told him at the time, "I know you're a Gator. If you ever want to see him play again, if people ask you, you know what to say." Both Rainey and the woman denied the slap occurred, and he was never charged.
One of my rules, I would never
ever hit a woman.
The Steelers cut him. The Colts picked him up in November 2013, but cut him during summer training camp after he got caught playing with a hotel fire extinguisher.
Do you think that you would still be in the NFL and would have avoided some of these incidents if you had had harsher punishment for some of the minor stuff that happened earlier on?
Probably. Well, just like I said, college. You have fun, you're childish. If I look back at it, yeah, probably. The incidents I got in trouble with, didn't know it was going to go that far.
Now, Outside the Lines asked to speak with Florida State's head basketball coach Leonard Hamilton and Associate Athletic Director Monk Montesort each declined. The Tallahassee Police Department declined an on-camera interview, but via email on the topic of their protocols for interviewing student-athletes. The department says it does attempt to directly contact all persons in a case, and failing that, then they would turn to other parties, such as attorneys or family and friends, to make contact. As for Chris Rainey, the former Gator and NFL running back, he's now playing with the Montreal Alouettes of the Canadian Football League. Our report today from Paula Levine, who joins us here in the studio. Good to see you. Let's talk about this. This can be an emotional topic. It's full of anecdotes. You can go